Linda should be here soon.
That's it.
So we'll get going. We got a lot to get through today. Call meeting to order. Follow along. Roll call, Gus. Here. Will. Present. Harshy's out, Holland's out, Ryan. Present. Stites president, Smith should be late. Takano.
Here.
Thank you. Approval agenda, do you have the agenda? I don't know if we can just pull it up on screen.
And you got it.
Linda's gonna print everything out.
Yeah.
Tim's not on this list. for
You were missing a
Oh, yeah.
DDA member.
Tim,
Absent.
absolutely, thank you for catching that. Everybody print out a personal agenda, ones I emailed you. It's up on the board though too. So let's just approve the agenda as written. Any corrections you wanna make? Additions, comments?
No, I move the agenda as presented.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bill. Gus. Minutes. Public participation.
Well, I have some people here.
Right, any comments from the people that are here in person?
Hi, I'm Terry Murdy, longtime resident, 1222 Shady Oaks Drive. I'm basically here to listen and learn. I'm running as clerk in the upcoming primary and really interested in one of the projects, the park project out here that has been brewing for a while, it sounds like. So really interested in an update on that.
Good. Thanks for coming.
Got a lot of text
Oh, hang on.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Jillian Carey, Scio Township trustee, but I'm not here in that role right now. I am here as a resident. But I do have some questions, so for the town or the attorney, but you know, for when the
Yes.
presentation is. So in 2018, the state updated the DDA statute and placed the DDA under the tax increment financing. So my question is, Scio Township's DDA last master plan was created in 2006 and the DDA economic strategic plan in 2008. So how does the updated statute affect those plans? I don't know if there is certain things that have changed that we have to update. And also, how does the updated statute affect, sorry, that was part of the same one. What role does the governing body have with the DDA? Because there seems to be discrepancy, at least we're hearing different bits and pieces. Now, of course, the DDA, the CEO, which is the supervisor, and also the CEO is the director of the DDA. So the supervisor does by law appoint members to the DDA, and then the governing body approves. That's one thing. Another thing is the budget. We've been discussing budget. So the DDA creates the budget just like the other committees, but this is an authority. So then the governing body does approve the budget. And I'm assuming that also means amendments. I don't know, because there's this back and forth. And then there's another thing that the DDA, that the governing body approves the DDA and the plans for the township. But what else does the DDA and the town or the governing body, how do they work together? If the DDA has authority under statute to do, create, maintain, improve within the district, how does this affect that, like the township planning commission, because they approve developments? Do the developments have to come in front of the DDA because it's within? I'm asking the attorney here, when you get there, and also other committees and boards, because if the planning commission is saying, yes, we want this, but the DDA says, well, that's not in our plan. So how does that work together? And let's see, I'm sorry, scribbling, does the DDA does the DDA have authority to say no? And also, regarding audits, I believe that the DDA must have an audit every year, just like the township. So do they hire their own auditors, or does that go under because the budget is also approved by the governing body? And I believe that's it for now. And I am running for supervisor for 2024. Thank you.
That's public comment, so we'll take all that into consideration and
Yeah.
hopefully answer those. That's good. Next,
Unless there's someone else present.
anybody else want to speak? There you go. Good.
I know,
Well, you can
Why
just
don't you
say-
introduce yourself?
oh, okay, yeah, I'm Rita Clinthorne, and I am one of the co-chairs with, the Parks, Preserves and Pathway Committee. And so I'm here just to kind of, you know, to hear what kinds of.
She's here for the park discussion. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
exactly.
Rob, you're up.
Thank you, Rob Pattinson, Scio Township resident. Thank you, Rita, for being here for the parks discussion. And my comments relate to that too. Bob, last time, you talked about, developing the township park. And at the time I asked you to please include the Scio flyers. And at the time you were a bit dismissive of that. And I hope that the DDA and the Parks Committee will continue to include the Scio flyers in the development of the park and not just push them out as part of the process. I know you've hired a landscape architect and that project is moving forward. So I just again request that you include the Scio flyers in that consideration. The first time I was there was in 1976. And they were already there for several years. So they've been here for a very long time. We occasionally hear the planes as they're flying in that park. And please include them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rob. Any other comments, public comments? Good. All right. Thank you. Thanks for the input. All right. Next, we're gonna jump to, I don't know if we do have the minutes from,
We do.
okay.
We have minutes from April 8th. And we have minutes from March. No, I didn't take it into the packet. Figure out, I'm sorry, I did not do this printing. If my gal got them. So here is April 8th and March 11.
Got copies for everybody?
I asked for copies for the question is how many copies did you make? And there,
Just look it up.
there.
Yeah, let's share today.
Yeah,
That's
so you're
today's
gonna have
agenda,
to.
so that's not.
I can run there.
Oh, these have minutes. Oh, that's minutes. Okay.
Everybody got a copy or can share them?
So the minutes are the
I can give one more because I have them on my computer. Does anybody else want one? Minutes are,
So
the
again, there
minutes are two.
There were two meetings. March and May, right? No, May's today, March and April. So going back to March. Got the road discussion, the Comerica discussion.
March has placeholder names, but we can't change it because under OMA, we've already had another meeting, so. It is.
So let's, we have a approval for the March 11th minutes. Almost. Gus? Second,
Upside down.
Ryan, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye, motion passes. And looking at the draft for April 8th.
So here I have a question. It says under new business, Washtenaw County Road Commission request for funding of Jackson Road approved on a voice vote. Is that true? I thought we
Thought
did
we
it on a roll
approved.
call.
We got roll
We
call.
did roll
Yeah,
call.
well, I should have said roll.
That's- I
call.
think
We
that's
can
what she
change
meant.
that.
Just,
Does
we'll
anybody have
change
a
it.
pen that works? I'm sorry, I'm like today. Yes, it was. Okay, so it should say roll. Okay.
Say, roll call, instead of voice.
And I think it's.
Yeah.
No.
With that correction, we got a motion to approve April 8th minutes.
Motion to approve.
Jennifer,
Second.
Brian, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. All right. We'll make that correction and then get those posted as well. All right, I'm kind of speeding up just this section, we've got our attorney here, our DA attorney, Ryan Sweeney is present. Some of you may know him, some may not. He's, right, I didn't write down his law firm, but, Kramer, Minnock, and Sweeney. He's downtown Ann Arbor, and they work with a lot of different government agencies. And, did the contract last year. He's helped us with the bus contract, a couple other things. And I just wanted everybody to meet him. We'll do a quick Q&A with him. Again, he might not have all the answers now, but as a good attorney, he'll dig into it. So with that, I'll introduce Ryan. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, name's Ryan Sweeney, grew up in Port Huron, Michigan. Married, I have a son, 6 years old. And,
Step just a little further over this
We'll
way.
be on
and you'll
camera.
be on camera.
Oh,
Yeah, even if you want to step in front of the table, in the middle, there you go.
and, my wife and I have lived in, Ann Arbor since about 2014. So, I've been practicing at Kramer, Minnick and Sweeney since 2007. And, I'm happy to be here today.
University of Michigan and state.
Oh,
For
okay.
Jay.
Covered all the bases.
Good balance. That's, we want balance.
That's right. Makes football fun.
That's right. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Do you want to get into any of the questions that were
Yeah.
asked?
We can, those questions as well as any from the board, but Jillian, I think did a great point. Those are all the things we've been struggling with is, you know, what are we able to, you know, control ourselves? What do we need help with the trustees? There is some changes in some language of DDA across the state. Again, looking at the long-term plan that we're putting together, we've looked at DDAs across the state and they're all different. And the demographics are different, you know, we have a boulevard versus a real downtown. So, but, those are some of the questions we have. You know, we're under Scio Township's TIN number. We think we used to have a TIN number. I've called and emailed IRS and
No one can locate it.
yeah, IRS is not very responsive either.
Find
We
missing
mailed them, it's in the mail
TFTI,
letter.
that'd be great.
So. I don't think there's a lot of exact, again, looking at all these different DDAs, you know, they're all a little different, so I think there's, you know, we want to make sure that we're obviously doing everything correctly, but. You know, what's our limits? You know, how much instruction from other parties and groups and those kind of things.
What was I'm curious, what was the change that occurred in terms of tax increment financing in 2018 and what implications does that have, if any?
The change in the increment financing in 2008, and how does that affect?
I thought the year was 2018 that was stated. I was unaware of a significant change in 2018, but I wasn't involved with the DDA at that time.
And that was what you were addressing.
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And again, the DDA language started in 1974, the original pass, and it was to beautify and help economic development in troubled areas. So I think it's been very successful having DDAs, but there was some updates and they needed to be done. So there's a little bit of change in the language, but I don't think it's too much of a change, but.
Well, I mean, I'll compare the two and take a look to see what effect any new language or modified language would have on the budget. And the master plan. But yeah, we can get back to you.
Yeah, one of the other things that's come up is DDA's relationship to the Board of Trustees, which is the governing body, and what role the Board of Trustees has and what role the DDA has and how the relationship between the two should work. Because there's been some people that view things one way and some people have a different view on it, so if we could get more guidance on that.
Yeah, so I looked into that quite a bit. I think that would probably be a better conversation to be had. As your attorney with confidence.
Yeah.
Rather than at a public hearing.
What authority does DDA have in proposing to the township certain developments? We like the area out here, and we think it should be an office building out here. Is anyone listening? Do I have any say on that? And, what is a, I guess that's a question to start with.
So the way that I read the act, it's essentially that the DDA has all of the authority necessary to promote its goals. Okay, that's pretty wide. And so as far as budgeting, funding, that has to go through the township to earmark those dollars. And once that's accomplished, then you could move forward with your project that's been outlined in the budget that was appropriated, approved, the appropriation bill. And again, I'm being kind of vague, Gus, because I do think that might be something that,
So if the DDA likes to see a park in the corner or a hotel or a soccer field, whatever, or supermarket, we suggest it to the board of the township, or the township, do I have a leg, do we have any kind of leg to stand up besides being, working for the good of for the area?
well, I think it might start at like a public hearing. If you get the residents involved as well. This is
That's,
something,
if I want to make sure I understand what your question is. Are you talking about the DDA's role in making recommendations
Correct.
for township-owned land?
No,
So any
land.
Any
Correct.
project that's sort of coming up for consideration, you're wondering what role the DDA has to play?
Correct, this area has it's a C2 and is, for example, C4, that's a C2 or C4 energy zoning has a lot of variability in there. You can put from buildings, retails to you name it. Okay, we think the DDA thinks that you know what, that'll be a nice area for X. At the meantime, you know, also Y, Z, and W fits in there. Question is, do we have any, is somebody listening to us, or we just make the recommendation and then the planning commission?
Well, the planning commission has a role in the development review process, but it's not the final say. It's the board of trustees that has the.
That's what I'm saying, the board of trustees,
You know,
yeah.
the DDA could study
You could
something
recommend
and make a
something.
recommendation or
Yeah.
to either support or, you know, some other
Correct,
kind
that's
of
what I'm
input.
saying.
But we don't, as the DDA, we don't have any authority.
Correct. Is anybody listening from past experience?
As speaking as a member of the board of trustees, I'm listening.
Okay.
But I don't, you know, I think it probably varies depending on whatever the project is and, you know, what members of the board of trustees, how interested they are in what the DDA's position is.
Okay.
There's no authority that the DDA has in the process,
Got it.
other than what we might offer if we wanted to, you know, add some amenities, you know. For example, if we thought, oh, this particular project, you know, it should have a bus stop in front of it, and the DDA would be willing to fund a bus stop to make that project more viable, or, you know, just as an example. We could do that. And that would be something substantive that the DDA could offer to, in support of a particular project.
So the DDA has, like you say, has no teeth in that department, whether to force anybody or however you, whatever word you want to use. But it does have an authority to where it spends its money.
Yes.
Okay, so that's perhaps one way somebody else will release it.
Sure. But really, the Parks Committee, the Planning Committee, all of them have to go through trustees to get approved too. So we're no different than anybody else.
Right.
I mean, once we have our budget though, we should be able to spend our money the way we want. And even if a planning committee recommends a bus shelter to use our funds, even in the park, even in the pathways, we get $100,000. We choose to use that for pathways now, but we don't have to. Because the DDA can spend the money that we see fit in our budget.
That's where the DDA has it has authority that's different from some of these other.
Because we get our own TIF,
committees.
Right,
not our money, public's.
okay. Thank you.
But yeah, I think we just load Ryan up with some questions and then he can check into it and get information back. What is interesting too is the DDA does, we have some bonds that we're still paying on. It's gonna end in about 8 years. And you know, we're thinking about increasing the time limit on the DDA. And really, it's the ability to issue debt. In case we need to issue debt, there's a project here we were looking at that we were gonna maybe issue 10, 20-year bonds. The attorneys didn't want to issue that, obviously, because the DDA would end. So you kind of got to extend the DDA before you have the ability. So, you know, how do we do that? What's the process in that? I'm sure we have public meetings for that. So there's a few things coming up that we'll have to do as a DDA.
That's an interesting question. Have you ever had any experience with helping any other DDAs or TIF related things extend their timeframe? I guess is the question.
No, I have not, but
Okay.
there's a process in the 2018 Act. It spells it out. I looked it over.
Traverse City just did it recently. There's some other ones that did it. So, any other questions? I think Jillian put together a good list that I'll forward to the attorney as well.
Besides of the life of the DDA, it's is extended.
How big is it? Oh,
The size,
extended?
how many years and how?
It's been around since 88, I
Who's
believe.
gonna decide if to get extended, but for how long? Who's that up to?
I think another at least 20 years.
Who's that up to?
I
think he's
believe
asking
we
who would decide.
would have to start the process, if I read it correctly,
Yeah.
but I think the board also has input into it.
Yeah, I don't think the public has to vote on it, but I think the board has to.
So we started the we started the
Start
process,
the process.
Understand.
and then it goes to the board.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just like the board approves the DDA's budget on an annual
Correct.
basis. And I can't answer the question about the audit. The audit of the DDA is a part of the audit that is done of the entire township. So whoever, when our auditor, which is now what, Raymond Robson, is our new auditor. They would, when they do the audit, they would also be auditing the DDA at the same time.
The DDA is what's called a component unit of the township, where it mostly stands alone, but it is connected to, so it is. The audit goes on at the same time, and the DDA's information is part of the overall township audit.
And again, if we didn't have a DDA, the revenue would stop coming to Scio Township. It would go back to the entities that we collect with. So about 1.8 million.
we'll go back to who?
The entities we collected from the libraries, the school systems.
No, we collect from the libraries, the county, the township, and WCC.
Right.
We are not allowed to collect from the schools or WISD because that change occurred in 1994 with Proposal A and how they revamped the whole tax system.
So if we cease to exist, they don't have to pay none of the above.
Correct. And when we cease to exist, any money left in the coffers will be split back proportionately to all of those
So where it
units,
came from.
from where it came from.
It doesn't stay in Scio Township.
And it's,
Well, except the portion.
and
Except
it
for
was,
their-
again, so this is from who? Where's it
It's
come?
from the two libraries, Ann Arbor and Dexter, Washtenaw County, all of Scio Township's levies, and WCC. What is not included is the Scio Township fire millage, because that is a special assessment district,
Mhm.
which is part of the reason why it was done as a special assessment district, so that it's not capturable. Any millage is capturable and must be captured, or you cannot capture from anybody.
So likewise, the township-wide road SAD, when it existed, would
Right.
not have been subject to tax increment financing.
Correct. Any SAD is exempt, no matter where it comes from.
So again, revenue, if we didn't extend it, revenues would stop. And then the other thing was, the Mexican restaurant finally opened without a liquor license, but we approved one, but we're waiting on the state of Michigan. So, that's a nice ability of DDAs too, to have those available. So there's definitely benefits, I think, in having. So we just gotta educate the public or update them on the benefits of it. And again, the DDA.
Our funds are roughly 1.8 million a year at this point.
So if the DDA ceased to exist in the near term, the township would be responsible for paying off the remainder of the bond payments. But assuming that the DDA continues at least through its current authorization, there's enough lifespan to cover those bond payments. It's a question, I think what you were saying, Bob, is if the township in the DDA want to make some other large scale improvement or fund overhaul of utilities, for example, something that costs a lot of money for which we might issue bonds, then it really raises the question of, is the DDA going to continue existing past, what is it,
2029?
something like that?
Yeah.
That was 2028 last time I saw it. but-
It's 28, 29, something like that, fiscal year.
So I just pulled the revenue and expense report that Sandy provided. Current TIR income for year to date through 3/31 was $2,098,922 plus some grants, and interest earnings. We're at about 2.337 million.
DDA income.
That's the DDA's income. The township's general fund, if I'm remembering for 101, is like just below 1.4 million. So we bring in considerably more than the general fund does.
Correct.
Let me follow up the question to Will. So if the DDA ceased to exist, the township is stuck paying the bonds.
Yes, if the DDA for some reason ceased to exist,
Whatever the
the
reason.
township would be
Correct.
responsible for paying off the
And the
bond.
township is not collecting any money from WCC, libraries, et cetera. It doesn't,
Right,
it's not gonna collect, so what is the township gonna come up with the funds?
General
that's a
fund.
good question.
Okay.
I think if I remember correctly, they have to have the funds earmarked before they can terminate the authority.
So the township, before it has to have those funds earmarked.
And, those bonds have to be secured with something before they can terminate the.
So it wouldn't be so abrupt. You wouldn't be sort of left with that question. You would
What's
have,
our
you'd have
total
to
bonds
answer
right
that
now?
question first.
Do you know what's?
The balance on it?
Yeah, I can tell you. Hold on, it's the balance sheet.
Yeah.
One second.
Liability.
It's millions.
About 600,000.
DDA bonds payable long-term, $3,550,000 plus $88,711.78 in bond premium.
So the township must have that money allocated somewhere.
Yeah, well, I think what
Brian,
Brian was just saying is that you have to answer that question before you could terminate the
Before you
DDA.
can terminate the authority, because the bonds have to be satisfied by the governing body if they're gonna terminate.
so the township has set this money aside from the beginning, when they set the bonds, or at some point has to do that?
If they're gonna terminate the DDA, then that has to happen.
That's the only time they have to do it.
That's correct.
Okay, it's not like they have the money right now.
I couldn't.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
just.
Because
okay.
my understanding is when you sign the promissory note on behalf of the DDA and the township, we're using our future income to guarantee the bonds. So if we terminate and cease to have future income, we have to give them, satisfy the bond for it.
This is all hypothetical.
It's a good discussion, sir.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, so again, I think we'll collect Jillian's notes and then any questions, go ahead and email me. And we'll send one email to Ryan, so we're not just all pestering him at one time, getting,
So questions for the
put them
attorney
together.
to
Yeah,
you
to me,
as
and then we'll
chair.
forward them and I'll copy everybody on it. Okay, so we got one string of communication.
Would it be helpful for you to have a copy of the revenues and expenditures? I don't know if you printed out our packet from the website.
Yeah, I've gone over a lot of that on the website already and I have some printouts and thank you.
Yeah, good questions.
Yeah, I did move my 1 o'clock.
Oh, you did?
I can stick around for a little longer if it's helpful.
So I was in a hurry.
You're not supposed to reveal that you
Right.
have that flexibility.
I had you, gave me an out. Any other questions for Ryan? All right, well, thanks for coming. If you want to sit around and listen, there's a couple other issues we're gonna discuss. All right, good. So we'll forward those to them, hopefully even tomorrow. Get them working over the summer.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks for coming. All right, we approve the minutes, special, chairs report. I don't have anything much. There was a update, Will, on the smooch. I didn't put that on the agenda, but I think the smooch project is still going on. Again, that's just we're a pass through for the state of Michigan. So the money comes from the state of Michigan to pay for the cleanup at the site. It's been going on for 2 years at least. So I think they're asking for more grant money through the state of Michigan, and you'll see it come in and then go back out on our balance sheets.
It's the Holmes campus,
Yeah.
but Smooge is the product that's they're making here.
Right. Originally, the project was in Spooge's name.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was. So, yeah,
Oh. There you go.
they were bananas, but yeah, it's on the Holmes campus. And the rest of the items are in the new business that we'll discuss.
Well, do you want a supervisor's report quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's some things that have come through that projects that the board acted on that the DDA should be aware of, especially Gus, since you raised the question. So one of them was we finally approved an amendment to the PUD for the Goodrich Theater. So that allows the current owners of the Goodrich Theater site to basically market it for something other than a theater, because it was approved originally as a PUD specifically for the theater. It couldn't be marketed for anything else until we did that amendment. So we finally did that, and now they're out and they have a sort of a list of approved things for which they can market that, and we'll find out what hopefully they would succeed in marketing it for, and they'll come back with some kind of a proposal.
So are they building it or selling it? Nobody knows.
They may, it's the Atkin company, I think, and I'm not sure if they're planning to retain ownership or if they're marketing it to sell it to somebody else. But in either case, whoever is coming forward with the proposal to develop it will come back to the township, and it will have to go through all of the steps in order to get approved as a proposal, a development proposal. So it's not, they have no pre-approval except for a list of things that are possibilities for which they can market it. The other thing that was in the DDA that came through the board is a proposal for the Honey Creek Business Park, I believe is what it's called. It's that area where the Malloy property is sort of wraps around the southeast corner of Zeeb and Jackson. They came for, I believe, a conditional use and were turned down. Yes, because I think in my view, the reason it was turned down is because it included a hotel. there were some other concerns that were raised, but I think that's really what it boiled down to, and we only had 6 members, so I believe it was a tie vote, and on a tie vote, whatever is proposed does not pass, so that proposal failed, so the developer presumably is going back to the drawing boards and will come back, I would assume, with something else that hopefully they hope will meet with approval. I think those were the only things that I can recall. Is there anything else that you can think of? You're in the planning commission, so.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The one question I had, and I know it'll be discussed at upcoming meeting, but I know there's been a special meeting called about the water and sewer, yeah, it says water and sewer system.
Right.
And talking about water and sewer rates. Do you have an idea roughly what year one is gonna be?
But year 1?
Yeah, what the proposed increase is?
Oh, that is a good question. Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, was it?
Well, I think that's actually one of the questions, isn't it?
It is one of the questions they're still
Working out.
grappling with, cause the choices were to have 2 different approaches. One would be a standard uniform increase over the next 5 years. And the other one was what was being termed as rip the Band-Aid off and have a larger.
Maybe
We'll hate
front-loading
that.
might be a better term.
Yeah, let's use a different term.
Will hates that term, but it's what they came up with, not me, them.
Okay.
So a higher increase in year 1 and then a much lower increase, so. The sewer rate's what's sticking in my mind, and that was going to be like almost 10.6%, if I'm remembering. It was a little over 10% if you went over 5 years, or if you
Did it.
did the hard one first, then it would probably be more like a 30%. 20 to 30%, and then a 5% each of the next 4 years.
Yeah, but thank you for reminding me. There is a special meeting, and rather than
whole
everything
meeting now.
here, there is a special meeting set for the purpose of having a presentation on the proposal and the decision that the board has in terms of the rate increases for both water and sewer.
10% the first year?
Well,
That would be the minimum.
Possible.
right, so it depends on use, but
Nothing's passed yet.
right, nothing's passed yet, and this is an opportunity, the reason that the board set a special meeting was to make sure that people are aware, that ratepayers are aware of the proposed increases and the choice that the board has, and have an opportunity to voice concerns, either support or opposition or whatever. But nothing is settled yet. It's just our,
Maybe this is not the place for the question about why so much increase.
it's long overdue.
But if you don't have, but if you're not missing,
Sure,
if
you
you
know.
don't need any money.
Yes, but that's-
Wow, what do you mean it's long overdue?
No, Gus, that's the problem, is the township has been, well, the term I use is bleeding off excess cash. So with the money they've had on hand, they've been subsidizing all the rate increases from the city of Ann Arbor. So, and they've not increased the rates hardly at all in the last 10 to 15 years. And yeah, it's getting to critical level, especially in the water fund.
Well, take a look at that. I wanna take a look at the water bills in Ann Arbor, because I got buildings in Ann Arbor. I'm not sure, it's not. I don't think it's double or anything like this. I don't know. Maybe it is,
Well,
maybe.
Well, it's
One
not
of
just
the-
a question of what they're charging for your buildings in Ann Arbor, it's a question of what they're charging Scio Township for the
Then has
provision
to
of
be-
water and sewer utilities.
Scio pays a 5% premium over what they charge the customers inside the city. So if you're paying, $10 in the city, we're paying 5% more than that.
Really?
Yep.
And then we also have to maintain our own system.
And then we have our costs on top of that, so the rates are going to be much higher than they are in the city.
Linda,
Well, Ryan just hit on it. So we have to maintain the system, which has gotten bigger than it was. And we have less employees in the utility department today than we did 10 years ago.
Yes.
And the guys are really struggling. There's not enough staff deal with emergencies and leaks and somebody broke a hydrant and 24/7. So there's,
Well, thanks for the information, for the enlightenment, because I just can't picture those kind of increases on business today. Those are the killers. Those are not increases. You know, those are huge. You know, and people really gonna have a hard time trying to pay those numbers. Yeah, you can't increase about 10-20% or 40% over 5 years or 10 years. That is ungodly, you know.
It's something good to bring up because
Maybe we should start digging wells.
functionally, all the DDAs in the water district and
Yeah.
much of it's in the sewer district, so.
Yep,
We'll keep an eye on those water rates.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
thank you, Ryan, for reminding. That's,
Yeah.
so just so everyone who's
It's good.
listening at home,
Right.
it's the 22nd. That's when the special meeting is for this
May
discussion.
22nd.
And then there won't be any action taken at that meeting. It's just for informational purposes and for hearing from members of the public.
What, here?
Yep, you're at
Right here?
Township Hall,
Yeah, it'll be here.
What time?
6 p.m. Sorry.
Thank you.
Anything else, Will?
No, thanks,
Okay.
unless Brian reminds me of something else.
No, you're-
Landscape committee, we'll get into that in the meeting, Gus. Marketing committee, we'll get into that as well. So new business, let's get right to the amendment of the budget. And we're doing this to help
At the last meeting, the DDA approved to spend the $500,000 to repave, reconcrete from the intersection down to where Arby's is.
Correct.
Unfortunately, that was brought up after we passed the budget.
Right.
So it's not in the budget, so we need a budget amendment for that $500,000 to spend on roads.
Let's put it in there.
So again, we proved this at the last meeting. You know, we do have obviously the assets to cover the cost of that, so we just needed to add, the simple fix is to put it back in the budget. I think we had under roads, how much do we have in the roads?
I heard that.
Yeah, so we need to up that by, we can do another
500,000.
Yeah. 500,000, right?
So it would be motion something like to make a budget amendment to 494-000-972.001 to authorize an additional $500,000 for a total of $1 million for construction of roads.
Good. Since you got all the numbers, spend that motion on second, man.
Okay, so
wow, wait.
I can
One
reread
more
that.
time. Okay, so it's Ryan's motion or is
Yeah.
that someone else's written?
No,
Ryan's
I
speaking?
I didn't write that down, I just read it.
Perfect.
But, to make a motion to amend the DDA budget, the general ledger accounts 494-000-972. There's a period 001, construction roads, to a total of $1 million.
That's it.
So we got two, discussion. Again, there's a little bit of talk about whether it's needed or not, you know, I don't think.
we need to have the improvement or the amendment,
Right, no,
the amendment,
the improvement.
the improvement. Oh, I
Let
see.
me finish, Will.
All right, well, I wasn't sure what you were referring to.
I know. No, so, you know, again, we're not engineers, we're trusting Washington Road Commission to recommend it, and that is an area that is used the most, because you come down, Zeeb, you turn, whether you're turning left or right, you have to go that direction. And again, they said that the wear and tear is actually in the bike lane, everything's kind of getting deteriorated and pushing towards that, so. And to fix this is from, Zeeb, not the intersection, but Zeeb to, I think, Jackson Plaza, correct?
No, Jackson
Jackson
Industrial.
Plaza, Jackson
Jackson Industrial Drive.
Industrial Drive,
Yeah.
so that distance.
So it's adding, essentially what we're being asked by the road commission, and I'm repeating this because I've heard that there's some confusion about this. They are proposing to do the $1 million project that would be east of that intersection. So that improvement is something that they were coming forward.
They're
and they
doing
said,
that
yeah,
and they've already paid for that.
right, well, yeah, they're planning on doing that, and they would like to expand that project to include the segment that you just described, that's on the west side of the
West side,
intersection,
same time.
at the same time. And so that's why we, the DDA board, approved the additional expenditure, the additional agreement with the road commission, is so that they can add on to their project this segment on the west side of the intersection.
Correct. Any other questions?
Nope.
So, go ahead.
Are we gonna discuss this document any further? I just was curious about the red line on it.
See.
Sandy had
Oh, yeah,
correctly,
I
I
think we-
believe, asked the road commission to amend this document. I seen that we now have words in red on the document, but what does that
Well,
mean?
I think I just probably took an old document and forwarded it in the notes, but I think we did
This
correct
is
it.
the one
Yeah,
that
it
the
is
road
correct.
commission presented to us after we approved.
Linda, I think those are the
It's the
things we
same.
talked about.
I just want to make sure that the changes got made.
Yeah.
Yes, they did,
Yeah.
but I just didn't have.
Sandy, the copy of the document that's in the packet says to the township.
And
the
that-
township
And that's
is
incorrect, that's
directed-
why.
And that's what she's asking.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Will has the updated one here.
It's, what we're approving though is Brian's amendment. We're not
Right.
approving.
Yes,
the
Okay.
agreement.
no, I wanted to make sure that this part had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, great.
Good question.
So I would.
We need-
We got a first.
It's already got a second. so I-
We got a second.
We already discussed it, so, yeah.
Roll call, cause.
We're gonna do a roll call vote?
It has to be a roll call.
I know. Thanks for reminding. Ryan,
Yes.
Gus.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
So you.
I know.
Will,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes,
Bob, yes, thank you. Motion passes. And it is a good lesson. We should have everything in the budget for, our spending. Although the state of Michigan doesn't do it, Congress doesn't do it. All right. Just review roads and pathway projects. So again, on that document, we've got 3 different road projects going on this summer. And I don't think there was anything on pathways that we've added to. I think there was just.
There's no pathways that were project that
In the
the DDA is funding during this construction season. But we do have the Dino Drive and Medi Drive repaving projects. That was in the earlier agreement. And then this agreement to do this additional segment of Jackson.
Okay, good. Okay. And then next we'll go to the, Gus put together the Boulevard, Phase 2 landscape proposal. Chris, I don't know if you pull that one up.
does anybody need copies?
Looks like it says proposal on it.
Estimate.
Again, Gus gathered a couple different quotes and we used KBK for a lot of this in the past. And he found another vendor that he trusts and came in significantly less. I don't know if you want to go over that. Gus.
I told him to do exactly what we talked about. There's 28 existing beds on Jackson Road, the boulevard, you gotta remove those. And you and I talked about it, we decided that we should not put any bushes, because the bushes are still collect stuff and they're vulnerable to a lot of stuff. We should do trees. And he's gonna do the amount of trees. He's gonna do them in the fall, so he says, I haven't lost a tree during the fall, but if it needs watering, I'll water it for this amount of money. He says, you shouldn't have to water, but if they do die, I'll replace them, he says.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that, he'll replace them.
The trees that got put in the last renovation that we just finished are all alive. We did very well with them, but they're a little close together. Can we specify with this contract, the distance that the trees are
Sure,
planted?
absolutely, and I think, Linda, what I did, I took it out my own, in some of the ends where the beds are, there's a lot of trees, there's no sense of putting 2 trees, one of them will do. I mean, there's a lot of trees closer together, So there's no reason having, 7 trees. Might as well take the extra tree, put it on the end of some islands that have no trees. That way they have just one tree. So, and there's quite a few of this, there's quite a bit of variation going down, so that's what we did.
Great.
I trust the guy, he'll do a good job. He'll do a very good job.
We need to vote.
Yeah, we'll vote for that. But again, going down the boulevard, it doesn't look like there's a lot of dead trees this year.
No,
I mean, it's,
All of the ones we just planted are
Right,
doing very well.
yeah.
they're doing very well. Yeah.
it looks good.
Yeah.
And we had that cleanup last, couple months ago, and I can't remember what that was, April 13th.
April 13th.
Yeah. A lot of people helped out. That was good. Good little project. So do we get a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve that landscape plan as presented.
It's the second phase of the landscape.
Second, correct.
Is he gonna do it in the fall? Is he gonna wait till the fall?
Correct. He's gonna yank everything out now. He's gonna yank it out between now and then he's gonna plant it in the fall. He can plant right now, but you're gonna have to water it more. Okay.
So again, the estimate is about, almost $69,000, which compared to KB Key last year was over $100,000, so.
And does this, like, there's some like trees that are just fine, like especially in the middle of these islands. We're gonna leave those, correct?
We're
Just
not-
individual standing trees.
There's no trees coming
We're not
out.
touching that. We're just
Just
taking
the
out the
ends,
bushes.
the bushes.
We're taking out the bushes.
So trees, existing trees are staying, bushes are being removed.
Yes, and trees are planted.
And trees are being planted in
Yes.
place of the bushes.
Correct. More landscapes, more topsoils gets hauled in and to fill the areas.
Good second, I'm just asking the question myself right now. For this year's budget, do we have it in there, Sandy? Do you know?
Yeah, it should be in there.
Okay, just making sure while we're doing budget.
No, I
I think
remember,
We put it based on KBK's bid.
Okay.
yeah, I think it was actually higher.
Yeah.
Should have been 100.
We got 125,000.
125, okay, very good. We'll set it
This
to
last
last
year's.
So Ryan, are you seconding?
second, yeah.
So do a roll call again, spending money. So all those in favor, Ryan, well, we'll go Ryan,
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Will.
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Bob, yes. Yeah, I think it's looking good out there. Good. Motion passes. Gus, we did talk about watering. I don't know if you plan on doing that.
I'll ask
Maybe
the,
that's a summer issue.
I'll ask the experts to tell me if they need water or not.
So
So let's face it, if they're gonna water only if it's needed. And if it's not needed, and one of them dies, they're gonna replace it.
So I know the utilities department has those bags, watering bags, but
I'll let
they
you
don't, they
know.
last a day or two.
I can water.
Alright. Hopefully Mother Nature takes care of them this year.
So do we have room in our $125,000 that we allotted for the landscape to add the landscape watering contract if needed? We've
Correct.
got $69,000.
No,
Correct.
this year's budget is 200,000 for landscaping. Last year's was 125.
So do we need to vote on watering contract if needed, or do we just assume that that's a part of landscaping?
Yeah,
No, it's a part of the landscape, it says, I believe it's $1,300
yeah,
for watering.
It's on this contract, so. that's-
It's on another page, you should have it.
Was that for
It says
stuff
if
to be-
needed per occurrence.
Correct, yes.
I guess, question I have is, are we talking about stuff that was planted that's not in landscape phase 2 that needs watering?
I don't think
Or,
so.
okay, because stuff that was planted last year may need watering in order to keep it going.
I didn't deal with that.
Yeah, so maybe what Linda's saying is there is a need for some kind of additional funding.
You
And-
think
Depends
there's,
on the season.
Linda, you think there's a need to water those?
It depends on the season. Right now, we're just fine. What things will look like at
We
the
could
end
have
of
a
June. I
really
don't know.
hot July or something.
Okay,
Those trees will need water if we have a punishing season.
would you like me to ask him to look at those
But
and
again, there's $50,000 extra in there.
Okay,
See what he would
We
want.
got 125 in there.
I don't wanna tell anybody, just,
200,000.
I don't wanna tell anybody just to
There's
do it.
money in the budget.
There's
There's money in the
number.
budget, I'm just trying to make sure if Linda's raised a question, I think a good question that whether we need to now approve on a contingency, the watering, additional funding for watering. You know, not to put it in the budget, obviously it's there, but to authorize this expenditure.
Additional expenditure for the trees that are already planted, enough of that, okay?
Yeah, exactly, I think that's what Ryan was.
But if we have 200,000 budget for that, we don't need it.
We just have to approve, we just have to
Right.
authorize spending. it.
Authorize
This
spending,
is, this is
correct.
for 22 trees that aren't yet planted, so this watering for 1,300 would be in the fall, when, after he. plants
Correct,
them.
this is already part of the
But if
contract.
he's charging us $1,300 to water 22 new trees, extrapolating, how many trees did we plant in phase
I
one?
don't know that. I don't remember that. I have to look at the numbers.
So why don't we say up to $20,000 and that should cover it?
I think that would be a good way to
Maybe
go
up
about
to
it.
20,000.
Okay,
You want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve, if necessary, the watering expense up to $20,000 of the trees planted in the phase one landscape 2023 Jackson Road Boulevard.
Maybe just say existing trees.
Well, that we don't want to plant the existing trees that are still there. We want the new trees that were just planted. The existing trees are gonna be just fine. The ones we're concerned about are the trees that are 3-inch caliper and smaller
Oh,
that were
okay.
just planted.
All right,
I second that motion.
okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How are we gonna, what's the deciding factor to say, yes, we have to water? Is it up to,
Experts.
We could take a look at it in 60 days when we have our next meeting and we would be able to have a pretty good guess.
That's what I was thinking. The next meeting is in July, so we'll know.
okay, I just wanna make sure we have.
So we could push
some
that
sort of
motion to,
input.
to the July meeting
Well,
as well.
if the authorization is there, if
Yeah.
needed, then, you know, Bob could look out his window and say, oh, those trees are looking really dry. That would be, you'd have the authority to call.
We're here,
the
let's
company.
make let's put
Okay.
20,000 in it. Second,
Oh, weird. Motion to
second.
approve.
Roll call vote again. Ryan,
Yes,
Gus,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Bob, yes. Thank you. All right. Six trees. All right. So there's been discussion about, again, the park out back.
Yes.
I talked to a couple different architects. We had a meeting with the Parks Committee. The DDA, I think, can help fund hiring an architect to work with the Parks Department to come up with kind of some sketches of possibilities back there. Kind of still a beginning phase of it. If you look at what we did, this architect was recommended by Roy Townsend and Joe also from Washington Engineering. They do a lot of parks in the metro area here.
It's the Johnson Hill
Yeah.
Land Ethics Studio.
They did Independence Park, which is not far from us, it's in Washington. Some other ones towards Detroit, they've done a little bit of everything. But again, it's more, you know, we're, from the DDA's perspective, again, it's beautifying and economic development. So I was pretty firm on, you know, putting some possible athletic fields back there, something else. Maybe people can come to our community, see how nice it is, eat at our restaurants, stay in our hotels, spend some money. So I was pretty adamant about something like that. And talking to the architect too, that he likes to look at the entire property before there's any development. There was some talk about doing the pathway, helping with the bathrooms first, and I just wanted to get to an architect first to help develop potential options back there. And again, like Rob said, the Flyers have been using that property back there for a long time. Has everybody been back there? So again, we'll definitely just talk to them about potential use. Again, they do share the property with dog walkers and other people back there. I've even seen people hitting golf balls back there, so.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of property back there and, we would cover the cost of potential, architect drawings of the plan. The only plan that we do have is this kind of this general one, it was done, I don't even know how long ago, a long time ago.
2018.
Yeah, so we would update that. Yeah, and,
Who's spearheading this?
the Parks Committee and the DDA.
So do you wanna invite Rita
Yeah.
up since she's
I think-
here to speak on behalf of the parks?
I'll just say that, the parks are really excited about being part of the conversation too. And we're excited that this is gonna be happening. I've been sitting at the table for 5 years and it's been a very slow, sometimes backward walk to get anything done. So, I can really appreciate getting, more eyes on this plan and then working together with, everybody to try to achieve what we want. I mean, when we did the pros plan and we asked the public what they would like, we have some information that gives us feedback on what kind of things that they would like to have. So I think, really focusing on some of those studies and what the DDA is thinking, I would like to see the park, serve the township folks more. There's some, even in our small group, there's some hesitation about just, shoving those flyers out of there. But if we can kind of find a way to work together and at least for a while, as long as we can, and keep the flyers involved if they wish. But also, how can we make it more of a active use park for the township? Because when you come here, where are you gonna take your kids to play? So I know the parks, we've been talking about, we have an Eagle Scout who's doing a project and that'll be a nature play space. And so what we're trying to achieve with that is to make something that is, it kind of mirrors some of the things that we're seeing in other parks around town, the trends of using natural materials, low maintenance for the township. And trying not to use materials, especially like plastic out there, more sustainable kind of things. But to make it more inclusive too, so that we can work in having some things that are ADA that are more inclusive to other members of our public. So, but yeah, to make it a destination, somewhere to go. And it's not a very big property, but we do have the parking, and if we can get the bathrooms installed, if we can get some pavilions out there that, so people have more options. But the parks, we've been working at this too for a long time, so it's nice to be included.
I think there's, my sense from attending the Parks, Preserves and Pathways Committee meetings, the recent meetings, is that there is a strong interest in this partnership, working together with the DDA. And we had a kind of a special subgroup meeting, you, Bob, and Jennifer, and I represented the DDA, and then there was 3 people from the parks, and we had a good conversation. One thing that was mentioned at the last meeting of the Parks, Preserves and Pathways Committee with regard to this proposal is, could it include explicitly in the scope of work for the Johnson Hill folks, answering the question of sort of what kind of adjustment would be needed to the slope where currently the perimeter path where people walk their dogs. Right now, there's a slope where it sort of angles down towards the wetland. And that is the part, if I understand correctly, that makes it incompatible for the ADA, because you can't have a place to walk that has that kind of a slope. That's the part of it that needs to have some kind of a correction in order to make it more accessible. Could that be included in the proposal?
I think before we spend a bunch of time on it to listen to all this stuff, yeah, I'm already confused. I think they spearhead the project, they should spend the money, they should bring a proposal here, they said, this is what we wanna do. Okay, we plan on doing walkways, this or that, right now, you leave the flyers here, leave this, have a soccer field, you know what? I wouldn't wanna stick my hand in there, okay, so I think this spearheading, we can go back and refund the money. And say, okay, this is what we plan on doing, and then we can have a conversation about that. You know, they're gonna have a map, they're gonna say, this is what's needed, this is what we propose, and we can narrow, delete, and we can say, yes, we wanna be a part of it or not. Right now, I wouldn't even know what they're talking about, I have no idea. I wanna,
Well, again, talking to the architect, you
Yeah.
know, he's done these parks before, there'd be a committee. We
I have
would
no
have
doubt,
3 meetings with the public, with all the committees to put input, and they would come back with 3. The only thing that we're doing is helping fund the architect come up with some designs. And honestly, I don't think Scio's ready to run a park like that. I think we're a little early. They don't have a park director right now. They have other issues that, you know, utility issues right now.
I agree.
If you put this park in, you know, with soccer fields and everything, it needs to be well maintained and run.
Yes,
And I don't think, you know, Scio will get there eventually. If you look at, you know, you look at the metro parks right now, they mow it, they've got a gentleman that comes around and locks everything up, you know, it's their employees. I just don't think.
where's the budget? You know, I mean, so, you
It's been a
know,
consultant,
I think that, in my opinion, I think that Parks and Recreation should put a plan together, say, this is a sketch, we can always fund them.
Isn't that what this is?
But this
Yeah.
is what
This is
we're
to come
happy
up
to be funding it.
we're funding.
Well, they're asking to fund it.
Mhm.
You know, I disagree with it, I think they should pay for it, they should move ahead with that, they should bring it back, we can refund the money, not a problem. If we, you know, but right now, none of us know what it's gonna cost, none of us has an idea, and I don't think $9,000 is gonna do it.
It's a plan. They're just gonna come
it's
evaluate
gonna-
and create a.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
That's
Yeah.
this budget would give us
Possible solutions.
possible mock-up drawings is what it's talking
Really?
about here.
Yeah.
It would give different ideas of what we could do with the site beyond what we saw from 6-7
Correct.
years
I'd
ago.
be shocked if you get it for $9,000.
But they're not implementing anything.
it's just it's just the architecture rendition.
I
I'm
understand,
with you though.
I understand.
We're, yes.
Just because I've dealt with a lot of wetland in the last 5 years, do they have any experience about wetland impact and are they just drawing a pretty picture? Because if they do start to deal with that fall-away slope that falls into the wetland, they may have to come.
I mean, if you look at their
Indoor
just their projects that I gave you, there's wetlands on all these, and that's their job, so. I hope they don't violate.
Ecological
any wetland.
habitat restoration. looks
You know,
like-
maybe they'll look at that project just like Will said, maybe we can't change much of the scope there, maybe that has to be a hiking trail or something, which I think would be more beneficial. That park again that park is used more than any other so-called park that we have in Scio out here, and there's very little maintenance right now, so.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think it's a good idea, it's just that,
But it's a nice space. I mean, there could be kids playing out there, you know, people using it more. I think the parks, the first thing they need to do is put a sign out there. It looks like it's owned by.
Yeah, I can report, actually, since the last meeting where we talked about this, we confirmed that we do have a sign. An entry sign that was ordered along with the other ones, that have already been installed at some of the nature preserves. It's in storage back here, we just need to have it installed, and so, Chris Cheng, our project manager, is moving that forward. And answered the question about a budget. You know, the voters approved in 2020, a millage specifically to fund parks, preserves, and pathways in Scio Township, so we have that millage coming in. You know, about $1 million a year now, so we have funds to fund
if you
maintenance.
guys got $1 million a year, build a park.
They
You're
are,
not using it for maintenance.
they are working on it, Gus, they're working on that, they're working on building paths. It's not that nobody is paying attention to it, it's that this is a project that the DDA looked at and said, oh, we could contribute to that because it's inside of the district, the DDA district.
I understand,
And it's on our list of goals.
but if you have $1 million, you bring it right now, and you're not using it, why not use that? You like to use the DDA's money first.
Using it, They're using it because it's,
I mean,
there's the budget and you can see how the Parks, Preserves and Pathways is proposing to spend the funds. So it's not that it's just money sitting around and it's not that the Parks, Preserves and Pathways came to the DDA and asked for money.
No,
The DDA was looking at ways that it could use funds that it possesses to do what you asked us to do, which was to, you know, make some things happen.
Yeah. So I have a.
I agree with it, just we don't agree on the path, that's all. I agree with it, you know, with what you say. I don't disagree with the end result. It's just the path that you're gonna follow in, you know.
So can I say something?
Sure.
So the things that we're most focusing on with the DDA from the parks point of view is some very simple, straightforward things. For one thing, when this building was updated or whatever, there were bathrooms that were built, they're plumbed, but there are no fixtures in there. That's a pretty easy target to hit.
How is that gonna help economic development?
That will attract more.
You know, like Gus says, the conversation that we had, you know, from the parks, you know, direction and the DDA direction, they gotta overlap. And that's why I kind of focused on athletic fields, because those will bring people to the park. Fixing the bathrooms is not gonna bring people to the park.
Well, but
It's not
they'll,
gonna.
they'll have to leave the park
It's
pretty
not-
quickly if they have to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom.
It will
There's
be-
no place to
it
go.
will
Yeah,
allow
that's a
them
good
to
idea.
stay
I'm not saying
longer.
that.
I mean, that is to me, that's a little bit of a no-brainer, just because people are already using the park, having the bathrooms there, that's gonna increase, you know, if you've got these ADA people or, you know, people that need a bathroom, there it is, and that's gonna bring more people here, it's gonna get more attention on the parks, and it's gonna improve the quality of the
Let me understand, let me ask you a question, that you need those bathrooms fixed now, you need them fixed the same time, what is the question?
We would like to get those bathrooms operating ASAP.
Why don't you use your money?
They are
I'm sorry,
proposing.
they are.
They're proposing
They are.
to.
Yeah, we have it in our
Why aren't you
budget.
talking about the DDA?
No, we're getting things confused.
I am,
So they're using their funds to install the bathrooms. We are using our funds to investigate the options for the land to.
I understand, but if all they need is, all they need is fixtures, they should be by a couple bucks to take care of that.
They're doing
There's
that.
there's a list,
They are
there's a
doing
list of, there's a list of amenities for the park. And the Parks, Preserves and Pathways has been planning, when it had its director up until February, to make some progress on some of the improvements to the Township Hall Park. And if I remember correctly, Rita, correct me if I'm wrong, the improvements included getting those bathrooms operational, making the perimeter path, the existing perimeter path, ADA compliant, in other words, fixing that portion of it that has a slope so that it's level and people can use it who might have some kind of disability. Other than that, I think there's this project that has been a long-standing project of having some kind of play area. And the economic benefit of those improvements is that, you know, the existing uses are enhanced. People could like shop at, I don't know, Panera or, you know, Coney Island, and have their food to go and bring it to the park and sit somewhere and the kids could play. And if they needed to, use the bathroom.
Yeah, it's gonna make the township more attractive. Because you have something to offer families.
Sign out there, you guys fix the bathrooms, let's see what you guys do, and then if there's ability to increase economic commerce in the area, which playgrounds and soccer fields would do, you guys are not talking about those things.
Well, they have.
That will help, I think that would be something that the DDA's purpose would help with.
So, you know, we
More
were,
people use that pathway right now out there, it's not ADA, I know that. But they walk their dog, they use this park more than any other park that you guys put out there already. Cause those aren't parks, those are green spaces. So this would be something totally different.
yeah, we have parks and preserves.
Well, I know you are, but
And-
you got green spaces out there now, you don't have parks. There's no
Well,
swing sets.
What we're trying to do is to sort of create a more active use park. And it comes in baby steps because like the parks is just really being birthed. And so we need to get it more established. And that's what this group has been working at, is trying to follow whatever we do slowly in baby steps, find funding. When we got the millage, that's gonna help us get other funding in the way of grants and other competitive things that we can say, we've got skin in the game, we're doing this, we would like money for that. Having those bathrooms, having ADA, of a trail, a very small percentage of our parks should meet ADA requirements somehow. And that's going to help us as a parks attract those grants and capture other money.
So it's not about.
So
you,
it's
it's
about
about
the
you
whole
getting more
township.
grants.
It's about
That's
the whole-
exactly what it's about.
It's
Because you
about-
could do all these things and
It's
kind of.
It's not an argument, it's not an argument, it's not an either or. And it's not anything that Rita or the Parks group
It's about getting
is
grants.
benefiting from. They're trying to make a park available for the public. It's the same goal, we're on the same page.
Yeah. But I
And
asked
they've
you a question.
always wanted athletic
Will,
fields, that's
I asked
all
you-
it
I haven't heard you or Rita say athletic fields once.
I asked you,
Well,
I asked you a question about the
pathways,
bathrooms, we're
bathrooms.
all over the place right now. I asked you a simple question about the bathrooms. If you have the money, why don't you fix the bathrooms? And we're going to paths and everything else. I would really, I'm,
The only reason that I'm at this meeting today is because this is the one park that we have that is in the DDA district, okay?
we all agree
So
on that.
this, and I know that there is, funds that were sort of talked about that maybe we could partnership on. And that's why I'm at this meeting, okay? Because this discussion I didn't just come up with this today.
All right.
This is something that's been on the cooker for a minute. So
Okay.
what I'm saying is, yes, we're doing this in baby steps. We can appreciate having an architect, having design, proper
We'll
design.
get partnership with that like you said over there. I like to say $9,200, half and half. We'll go half and half. We'll get the attorney we'll get the architect to propose that. We'll partnership with you.
So I'm not sure that's.
Well, because the DDA has allocated in its budget $250,000 potentially to use on this. The Parks, Preserves and Pathways, has its budget. And it's doing a lot of other projects. It's got certain things that it's working on here. This is something that the DDA was seeking out as an opportunity to partner. And now you're wanting to split the offer that the DDA is making somehow for some reason. And I don't know, it just seems like nickel and diming the
Yeah.
Parks and Preserves and Pathways folks over something that's not really a contest. We should, if we're gonna partner with them, let's partner with them.
What did I say? What did I say different? Let's partner.
You said let's split, the
Partnering,
$93,000.
we don't even know. Will, we don't even know what we're getting into. This can cost $1 million, can cost $500,000,
We
cost
don't
$2 million,
But we
okay?
have
You
to
don't
do
know.
the initial
Okay.
investigation to find
Yeah.
out. If it costs $2 million, we might not do it.
It's gonna cost us.
Excuse me, this is really painful to watch. This is very easy to solve. Could PPP provide a presentation on the township park for everybody to be on the same page? Would that be possible? Because I don't know if that's happened yet.
This already.
We did this already.
There.
The
Really?
thing is, so
I was there. You guys were there.
Yeah.
Or
We had a presentation on the background for this park. It's always been contemplated to include athletic fields. That's not, something that's in doubt, Bob. I don't know why
Let's do it
you're
first.
not seeing that,
Let's
but
do it
it's.
first.
okay, so.
Why don't we do it first?
Okay, because.
Let's get kids with numbers on their backs running around.
Yeah, okay, I can tell, I know very clearly that that's your agenda, Bob.
Is this what
The-
happens with the DDA?
Let's let
I know.
Rita.
hold on,
other
let her
people-
speak.
Can I just finish my sentence, please? We also take into the fact that the Parks Department doesn't have a director right now. We're struggling to get our feet on the ground. We had a director, but she has left us, right? Okay, fair enough. We have to move in appropriate baby steps. If we just throw a park out there that's, so much management, who's gonna run it? I mean, are you gonna come and run it too?
I brought that up already.
Okay, I know, well, that's what I'm saying, but the athletic fields is not, I don't think that we're gonna get complete not support for athletic fields. I don't think that anybody is saying, no, we don't want athletic fields. We're saying what's appropriate first. What if we have the amenities out there that will attract more people to come, that will fit that need, that yes, we would like athletic fields or whatever else we're gonna come up with out there. These are all things that we're responding to our pros plan. We let people give us comments, what would they like? And we are always trying to follow the pros plans, what are people asking for? Because we do have a millage and we got that from the people. So we need to accommodate what's being asked for. Now, the athletic fields, I think people would like to have them, but they might also like to have the bathrooms. They might like to have an ADA walking path so that it fits others in our community. Interesting things for children. When I go to parks, you know, I don't always come right here because I have my 6-year-old grandson. What's there for him except running on the path, right? So, but what about the elders in our community that might like to just come here? There's a parking lot, easy access. If there's a bathroom, a pavilion to get out of the sun sometimes or out of the rain. There's a walking path if we have some benches out there. If you're taking care of a 90-year-old relative who's got to sit down sometimes, they can watch the flyers fly their planes. I'm trying to be more inclusive, and that's what we're working for. Our focus is not on just X, or nothing. Okay, so it's a bit of everything and it's a process.
The nice thing about what Bob has brought to the table today is that it's a step towards that larger vision, right? I mean, everyone wants to eventually have this become the active use park for the township. And there's a way that we can accommodate all kinds of active uses in a way they are symbiotic, right? Because if you have playing fields where, 10-year-olds are running around playing soccer, well, the younger siblings need someplace where they can play and the parents can sort of keep an eye on them. And possibly there's a place for having a picnic, all of that works together. And, having stood on the sidelines at my daughter's soccer games over the years, it's nice if there's a place where you can go and have a picnic or something other than just standing there, or bringing your own chair all the time. So I think this works together with what the Parks, Preserves and Pathways is talking about. And it's just, in some ways, it's a baby step for the DDA board to take towards partnering with Parks, Preserves and Pathways. I would support, approving this proposal as Bob's put it forward. I was just hoping that, and I think the Parks were asking me if part of their work, this group could be looking at that problem, solving that problem of the slope at where the existing perimeter path is. Whether that can be done by this group, I don't know. I think that's the only question that the Parks had.
And it's not the kind of slope where someone's gonna fall off the trail. It's nothing like that. What we're trying to do is just make it a little bit flatter and put the kind of the kind of surface on it that would be ADA. It's just a really small ask in the way of how much parkland we're dealing with. This is a small focus because it is doable. So, and it does have the parking, and if we have the bathrooms, it's gonna meet a lot more needs in the community. So it's an easy thing to do, really. This isn't rocket science.
Parks, just to be clear, the Parks, Preserves and Pathways is not asking for money from the DDA to do either the bathroom finishing work or the improvement on the surface of the existing perimeter path. All that's being proposed today for the DDA to spend is on getting a plan, which I think will move forward, Bob, what you're looking for, which is how are we going to move towards playing fields? And that's what we don't really have a plan for at this point, other than an idea.
Whatever it is, Mr. Chairman, can we move on with the second time because I gotta leave?
Yeah.
I mean, we can beat this thing up till tomorrow morning.
This is the conversation again that we had. It's just, there's a lot of, different opinions involved. Maybe we should table this for a year.
No, a motion to approve this funding.
So I'll support.
So what's the motion, Jennifer?
Oh, I motion to approve the funding as outlined.
So the fund, we could, if you want, we could.
Motion to approve what? Funding, $9,200?
Yes.
$200 to.
To do.
I mean, if you look at the funding too, you could just get it to there's a final master plan. You could get it like $6,000 roughly for the project initiation of preliminary master plan. And not the final.
300.
Yeah,
Then we get you a preliminary master plan design.
that's what I'm
And
thinking,
then we have
if we did.
conversations, because then we'll understand what the options are, to then move forward with the final plan.
And again, it's just plan, you know, until the Parks Committee, they need a director, you know.
Well, there's if anyone knows of somebody who's looking for a job as a parks director, please send them our way. We've got, the notice has been out for a while. We've had some candidates, but they're still looking.
What's the pay rate?
I don't know.
What's the motion? Okay, we'll move on, please.
It's on the
Well,
website.
Did you amend?
We
your
have a mo-
motion?
I don't know what it is, but
$200 or
You wanna do that instead? It's about, how much was it, Brian?
6,300.
6,300 for what?
That gets you
For
a
the-
project initiation and a preliminary master design with 3 different.
And again, if anything, it'll
And
update
saving a
everything
cost.
for the Parks Committee to look
Okay.
at. So we're only spending money to help with the design. We're not committed to anything else.
Okay.
Until we have athletic fields.
Where do you only get 63?
If you look at page 2, I added project
Right, that's-
initiation.
yeah, well,
You know,
Well, I want rocks and no plastic, I get it.
Plus.
You can't be and.
I'm not.
It's and or.
2385.
That's-
I've just been through this several
Project
times.
initiation.
I know what usually happens.
Master design.
It's these first two,
These first 2 lines, yeah.
but not the final master.
Not the final,
Oh, I see. Okay,
just those two.
you wanna do that?
Ryan,
Sure.
is that all right?
We want a plan. I want options.
Do you get
Can't
six-
talk about anything.
I mean, they do a great job.
6,300.
So it's the
A
first
motion
2 points.
To approve 6,300 for the first 2 items on page 2.
For the project initiation preliminary master plan design.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Roll call.
Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Gus says yes. Good.
Yes.
Jennifer, yes. Will.
Yes.
Linda.
Yes.
Bob, yes. Good. Good discussion. I like it.
Rita.
Thanks for coming, Rita.
Fun, guys.
Wow.
Real fun.
Something like that.
So we'll get that going. And again, it'll, you know, the architects will take the input from everybody. They're used to doing that.
Great.
Next on the agenda.
Signs. Bigger.
So signs, do we have any other signs going on?
The
At the end
development
of-
next to me is gonna be putting up a sign, whether it's this summer or next spring, I don't know, but they're gonna already be putting one on their property, so it seems kind of silly to put a sign literally across the street from it.
I think that didn't we discuss
we
this and
discussed.
decide this before?
Yeah, but do we have them matching?
They,
They
it's
already
up to
did it?
them, and they, I think, indicated that they
It
have
is
their own
not going to be the
idea.
exact same sign, it's going to look quite different, it's very brown and grayish. I can send
They
you
wanted
a
to go with their.
picture of what I got. The
Where's this sign gonna be at? What property?
property next to mine, the property to the east of me, the.
Woodview
Woodview
Commons.
It's gonna be right there on the right, okay, so.
Yep, and it's gonna be a diagonal, so as you
Got it.
turn to the left, you'll see it.
So what question we asking right now? We wanna put another sign like Scio Township down the other end?
Mhm.
Do we want to add an additional sign? Is that the question? I mean, it probably wouldn't make sense to do it right across the street from there, but some other location nearby?
I can't really see where it makes logical
It
sense.
seems a little redundant.
Yeah, unless you put it out like to the west of Dino Drive.
Yeah, like basically right where the
Right
boulevard
where the boulevard
starts.
Right where the boulevard starts, the only place you can put it.
Yeah, that would be the only option.
I'm not sure it makes sense to do that when it's that close.
How much money are we saving here?
7,000.
$7,000 or so, it doesn't really make sense.
Can we pause on the sign and
Yes,
then see what they
yes.
put in and then reconvene?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we should wait for them to do it.
Let's wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah,
At least we got a plan, right?
got it.
Meyer's gonna, spray wash, clean their sign out front pretty soon too.
Good.
A really good director there now. He helped with the road cleanup, so we got good contacts. And really, all the big box stores, we got good contacts. And I'm actually passing around, we'll talk, I was just gonna go into this right now. The constant contact draft, I put that in there. It's just a general outline. I actually asked Sean, our,
So this hasn't gone out yet.
no, it hasn't gone out, nothing's gone out. I think we got maybe, I don't know, 60 names and addresses on there, which I'm still collecting them and adding them on here. You know, maybe we send out 2 a year, but again, just basic information, keep your sidewalks clean, keep your property nice, but in a positive way. You know, I don't want, you know, big handed government beating on these businesses. I think we've got a great community here. You know, we want to be positive in our communication with them. So I kind of put together a draft email.
This message here has not gone out?
Nothing's gone out yet.
Okay.
I put the sign in there, you know, it's a start. I'm even looking at hiring some drone maybe to take a picture of, you know, the boulevard down the hill or something, so we'll get some better pictures in there, but it's a work in progress. But positive communication with the business community. Put all you guys on there as well too, so your emails, so you'll get. I don't know if there's any, I sent out that there's just a printout of the emails. I don't know if there's other people you want to put on there. But get them. There's some other people I've got to add.
Oh, do you guys know this?
And again, I talked to Sean, he might write something up for the ordinance, you know, maybe information on the signs or something, you know, out there to communicate that. All right, so that's what's going on in the marketing department. Signs we talked about,
Your name's on there.
you're in there. I had everybody on the board. Hiring a scanning company, Linda and I talked about it, I know Scio is potentially hiring a scanning to scan everything.
Yeah, there's a project that has not yet fully launched, but the idea is to digitize the paper documents that the township has, so that they're more accessible and less vulnerable.
So our discussion was, could we ask them to give us the DDA a quote? For the
As
DDA
part of
portion?
that, as part of that.
Part of that or do it ourselves. Again, I kind of went down there real quick. Wasn't able to look at any boxes, but looking for the agreement between the DDA and the road commission about the maintenance of the property, see if there's something in writing. You know, I wasn't able to dig through there, but if we had digitized or,
Presumably it would be easy.
and again, it'd be almost one of the questions for the attorney. Do we have access to our own records? Right?
Well,
As I kind of felt like we didn't.
Well, there's several boxes in Joyce's office,
Yeah.
apparently, so.
A lot of
Yes
that's
and no.
letterhead. I saw some in the basement, but I wasn't able to go through.
yeah, it's true. A lot of what's in that office is letterhead.
Yeah.
And, you know, envelopes and stuff like that, but there are also archival files about meetings, decisions.
So we'll make some, we'll talk to Scio and other people, see if we can get something going there. And then send out summer contact. So I'll send everybody a copy of the communication before we send it out, if there's any input in it. But again, it's more gonna be just that first initial one. You know, maybe put some contact, give them a little cell phone, so if they got any questions, they can call
I heard that. One thought I had is, it's kind of a short list, you know, and one goal might be to expand it.
More.
And so you could put in that message, you know, if you know of other businesses, especially newer businesses that would like to be added to this contact list, please put them in touch with Bob.
So I've got a list, a professional list, maybe 2,500 businesses up and down the boulevard of the names of the businesses, and I kind of started filling in the email. So it's a working project, but that's good. If any others forward this on,
Forward
or
it
forward
on.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And then Linda will have the constant contact passwords as well. Again, just have a backup plan on everything we do, so.
Do I have them now? I was gonna say, I don't believe I received them, so, okay.
Somebody in my office does, it helps.
I just wanna make sure that if it was sent, I didn't receive it.
No.
All right, do we have a tree fund?
We don't, but again, what we're seeing is the trees come out of the DDA and they go to somebody else outside the DDA. I mean, why don't we have our own pre-fund then to keep the trees in the DDA? You know, maybe we talk to the planning committee, maybe there's a, $100 charge on new development to give money to the DDA tree fund. And then we would have ability to, in the future to use those on the boulevard, on other properties. Because what I'm getting from Scio currently is the road committee is not gonna help the DDA. The tree fund cannot be used in the DDA, so we almost have to set up these committees ourselves to help fund these existences.
I don't know that that's true about the tree fund not being usable within the DDA. I mean, there's a proposal for a policy.
We asked them for these trees.
Well, I know,
And they said no.
but there's no policy right now. There is a policy that's, nearly ready to come to the Board of Trustees for approval. And my understanding of it is that it allows for different categories of use of that tree fund. And some of it could be used within the DDA district. But it's, I don't think the answer is definitively no trees, no tree fund expenditures within the DDA district. I don't think that decision has been made. It was just in that specific request, the board declined to approve them. But that's in part because we lack a policy for the tree fund.
Will the policy be put in front of the Board of Trustees before our next DDA meeting?
Potentially. It's being reviewed by township attorneys, that's my understanding. So it's gone back and forth, the language of it has gone back and forth between the chair of the planning commission, who's been sort of riding herd on that project, and in the absence of director of Parks, Preserves and Pathways, but that's part of what slowed it down, I think, is that, Anna left, she was guiding that through the process, and so, the person who was shepherding it, on staff is not, that position's vacant.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a long answer, but it's the answer to the DDA was specific to that particular ask, not in general to.
Right.
Can you have trees? Yes.
Can we put the new either proposed or adopted policy for how the Scio Township Tree Fund will be used onto our next agenda to
Good.
review it and then revisit this?
Good. All right. Good. Any other questions on that? Gus has got going. Let's go through the bills and financial report.
Okay. The only bills that I have for this month is to pay the constant contact, the $495 charge was put on the township's credit card, so we have to pay for that. There's $240 for the attorney, and then there's $4,520 for the smooch project that we get back. And then Bob is asking, he spent $69.74 on some refreshments for the crew that were cleaning up the boulevard. And so he's asking for reimbursement for that.
We've probably done it 10 years. I've paid for it every year. This year I'm not feeling as generous.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Roll call. Brian,
Yes.
Gus,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Will.
Yes.
Linda, Bob,
Yes.
yes. Thanks, guys.
Thanks to everyone who came and helped clean up. I was gonna come, but I was.
You know, it's
dealing with
weird.
the
We
emergency
had
at
probably
my
12,
house.
14 people, but the 2 nights were bad. It was raining, cold, so we didn't get as many people as possible, but Menards has been super nice with vests and t-shirts. Lowe's was trying to help, so it helps get the business community involved, so,
And the bushes are gone that collected.
yeah. It was a little easier this year.
I'm
The
so
Fred-
traumatized.
I passed out, Donna Township Treasurer put together a little summary of the DDA's funding. She spoke with Bank of Ann Arbor because we were going to move the lion's share of that money out of there. And they went, whoa, we'll give you more interest. So,
Because they wouldn't volunteer something.
So if you have any questions about any of this, I can most likely answer them. But she did move $2 million off to the Comerica and bought some commercial paper with it.
And again, it's all liquid. We can get to it if we need to. It's not locked up in CDs.
That's a good lesson. Just go and ask your bank, hey, will you pay more interest?
It
I
actually
know.
works, it's surprising.
Yeah, I kind of believe that.
Like, wow, since you asked. Here's 4.89% interest.
But again, many years ago, the supervisor said it had to all be in CDs, which is CDs with FDIC insured. So we left it alone for a long time.
Right.
Never did it. So this is, you know, I don't use a lot of CDs in my business, so I'm really happy with this too. Any questions on that? We'll add that every meeting to the financial report.
Is there anything we need to deal with in terms of old business? I know there's.
Yeah, I just keep that on there. I don't know if there's anything. Let's just. Is there anything you see on there?
So the reason we were looking for an EIN was so that we could establish our insurance. I think, but we have that account now has been established with Comerica with still the township's
Yeah,
EIN.
everything's in the township. We don't have anything in the supposed DDA until we get verification from the IRS. And again, we do have insurance on just the DDA, but it's piggybacked on the South Township policy saying that.
I'm just looking at the fact that with the election coming in the fall, if it's got the township's EIN on it. We have,
What is that?
do we need to, if we don't get a response from the IRS about the EIN, do we need to reapply?
Well, again, that's the question I think for the attorney. Should we set up that way? I agree with you. I think we should set up separately.
So this is one of the.
I don't think we're gonna hear back from the IRS. Many calls, emails. They said, put it in writing, we'll answer you, and that had to be 8 months ago. You got a copy of the letter going, so we're not gonna hear back from the IRS. And the only thing that Sandy found was a bank record of the eighties of this supposed TIN number, and none of our assets are under that. It's all under Scio. Everything has the same TIN number. So
Well, let's ask him, and then again, let's put it on the July agenda.
Yeah.
That we, fill out a new request for a new EIN.
yeah, because
And I think the long-term goals too, with answers from him, because I have a couple, I'll send over, and also help with the finalization of the strategic plan.
yeah, and the bus shelter contract, Ryan actually looked at that as well. It's still, I think Will and I will sign that and pass that over to AATA soon. So it's ready for approval. We could do that this month.
Is that it's the AATA taking responsibility for the bus shelters that are within their fixed route.
Correct. Yeah, just the ones that their staff stops at. And then this was a question for the attorney, the maintenance responsibility on the boulevard. And then the Dino, I just keep all the feeder roads on there. And then, I'm thinking 2025, we look at how to extend the DDA and what to do, get through the elections and get to next year. All right. Any other questions? Got a motion for adjournment?
Motion to
All
adjourn.
those in favor say aye.
143.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, who was the second?
Okay, that's a good
Yeah.
question. Was that jump ball?
We all,
What time? I missed the,
101.
what? No.
12:01.
12:01 is the start. Call to order.
All right, so Bob, we need you to sign this third agreement for Will.
Okay.
And then you probably should sign this Nature's Choice Outdoor Services for Gus and then leave me to. We'll see you in July.